Use a widescreen aspect ratio like this to emphasize the landscape and get a movie-like look, or a 4:3 ratio like this to get that retro vintage vibe. First thing you're going to want to do on your Sony camera is to set up some guidelines so you can visualize your shots and make your composition easier. Head into the menu, go to the shooting menu, scroll down and select marker display. Then tap on the marker display option and turn it on. Tap the aspect mark option to choose the kind of guides you want. If I choose 4:3 and then exit the menu, we get these two lines showing us the 4:3 filming area. If we go back into the menu and this time choose something like 2.35:1, this time we get these lines at the top and bottom, and in the middle here is the filming area. Even if you've enabled these aspect ratio markers, the video file that you record is still going to be recorded in a 16:9 ratio. That means when it comes to editing your video, you're going to have to do one of two things. The editing process is exactly the same regardless of what video editing software you're using. So if you're a Final Cut or a Premiere user, keep watching. Even though I'm going to demonstrate this in DaVinci Resolve, you're going to need to apply the same techniques. If you want to use different aspect ratios in the same video for artistic reasons, then you're going to need to use the first technique I'm going to show you. But if you want the same aspect ratio throughout the entire video, you're better off using the second technique that we'll get to in a second. Choosing an aspect ratio is just one of many different artistic choices you can make when you're making a video. Music and sound effects are also super important. I've been using Epidemic Sound for almost 5 years now. If you want a free trial and get some free music and sound effects, check out the first link in the video description. Here's a drone shot and also a shot of me walking along the beach, and we're going to use two different aspect ratios for these two shots. The first thing you need to do is download some letterbox templates. I'll put a link in the description to a free download for these, and then choose your timeline resolution. In this case, the timeline's 4K UHD, and now you can see you've got these different aspect ratios. These are just PNG image files with some transparency in the middle and black bars at the top or bottom or left and right. So we're going to go and grab this 2.35:1 PNG and we're going to add it to our project, and then all we need to do is drag this on top of the video file. So I'm going to drag it on top of the drone video, and if we have a look at this now we've got that widescreen aspect ratio of 2.35:1. I'll talk about the advantages and disadvantages of both of these approaches later in this video. Once you've added the PNG overlay on top, you can click on the underlying video file and then move its position up or down just to reframe the shot a little bit and get it how you want. For this second shot of me walking along the beach, we're going to choose a different aspect ratio. For example, let's choose this 1.33:1, drag that over the project, and then drag this aspect ratio over the top of this clip. Once again, you can reframe this a little bit. I'm just going to use the X position. Don't go too far, otherwise you'll have too much black space. And now we've got two different aspect ratios in the same video file. The second approach is where we have the same aspect ratio for the entire video. I'm going to come up to the File menu, open up Project Settings, and this time we're actually going to change the resolution of the timeline, or in Premiere Pro you might call this the sequence. We're going to set up a custom timeline resolution, and what you want to do here is take the horizontal width of the frame. In this case it's 4K UHD, so that would be 3840, and then we're going to divide it by the aspect ratio that we want. So let's say 2.35:1. That equals 1634, which we need to use for the width. I'm going to change this to 1634 and then hit save. And you'll notice that we've got these black bars at the left and right, which we don't want, and that's because we need to change another setting in DaVinci Resolve, and this is the setting that determines how different sized media gets displayed onto different sized timelines. To access that, come over to the image scaling section, and then we need to change this input scaling, and in this case we're going to choose center crop with no resizing. Click save, and now we get that image taking up the whole of the width of the widescreen aspect ratio. And if I just zoom out, you can see that we have actually got that widescreen aspect ratio with no black bars at the top or bottom. As before, you can reposition things by using the position of the clip up and down, and this is what we get full screen. If you don't want to work out the maths yourself, just use the link in the description to a free cheat sheet that I found on the internet that lists all of the frame sizes for different aspect ratios and resolutions. So what are the advantages and disadvantages of these two approaches? The first approach, where we're using the PNG overlays, is easy, quick and simple. You can also have several different aspect ratios in the same video. The disadvantage of this approach is that it's going to have black bars rendered into the final video file. That means if someone's watching the video on a widescreen monitor or a widescreen projector, those black bars are going to take up space at the top and bottom, and you're not going to get the full visual impact and the full width of the screen used. So what about that second approach, where we're setting up the sequence or the timeline to be the native aspect ratio, and we're not using overlays. The main advantage is you're not going to get black bars rendered into the output video file. So if someone's watching it on a widescreen TV or projector, you're not going to get black bars at the top and bottom. It's going to take up the full height and as much of the width as possible of that widescreen TV or projector. It's going to have much better visual impact when you're viewing it. The main disadvantage of the second approach is you can't mix different aspect ratios in the same video, and also there's either a bit of maths involved or you have to use a cheat sheet. There's so many different aspect ratios you can choose from, it can be hard to know how each one is going to feel. Check out this video where I put together examples of all of the most common aspect ratios and a few slightly strange ones, so you can see exactly what they look and feel like. Maybe choose one for your next video. I'm Jason Roberts, please subscribe and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.